Beautiful. Welcome to another episode of the Elevate Collection podcast. We are so excited to have this is a full circle moment for me, y'all. Like I'm trying so hard to keep it together, to be honest. It's just going to hearing someone that is so inspirational as an audience member to being able to interview for this podcast on influence to legacy because your influence has also gotten us here. So you guys welcome Lori Harder to the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. And I love that you guys started a podcast because it's a whole thing. It's therapy, it's networking, it's brand building, it's everything. So I'm glad you did it.
It's everything. Jordan and I were talking about that even with Jordan's husband about it's another vertical. People don't always see it. It doesn't make sense to everyone, but we get it.
I think it's so important. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your business too.
It certainly feels like it already. And it's just been so fun to hear the stories and to get to be genuinely curious. What a blessing to be tell us everything.
Yes. Yeah, it's great.
It's amazing. So we know we started at high school dropout to what you have created today from being an author, a speaker, a founder, a CEO. Can you give us give all of our audience where you started? Door knocking, being in the car, dropping out of high school. Tell us about it.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back to Upper Michigan, which people are like, is that by Detroit? No, it's a totally different piece of the state that's not connected. And I say that because it's in a very isolated, very wooded, very rural area where I grew up. So we were about 3 hours from what resembled a city. It was a very small town.
Oof.
And so growing up, you really only know what you're exposed to. And back in the day, we didn't have social media. We just had pretty much TV and magazines and newspapers and all the things. And so my world felt pretty small, like what I thought was possible for me. And I think maybe I'm sure it was just through TV, but at a really young age, I'm so curious if you guys felt this way too. At a young age, I was like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's something more.
Yep.
And so being raised in a restrictive religion, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and I went door to door, and I, would knock on doors and tell people about this religion and, try to recruit them. And I had a 0% recruitment rate my entire life. So if you want to talk about rejection therapy, that's one way to do it, is to go knock on people's doors every single week and be told no. And I think that became a really great foundation just for me not being maybe afraid to ask and take some risks later. But being from that small town, being raised in a more restrictive religion with a family that really struggled with their weight, I didn't feel like a lot of things were possible for me, even though I had that feeling of there's got to be more. So as I got older and when I turned 18, I ended up moving out of the house because I kind of got exposed as a teenager as we traveled around. Actually, we went to these things called circuit assemblies, and they were usually in a bigger city, so Green Bay or Madison, Wisconsin. And I remember the first time we went to a circuit assembly in Madison, Wisconsin, I was like, what is this place? How does one live here? I feel like there's opportunity here, people with dreams could go here. And it wasn't something that was, it was kind of frowned upon to want to do anything outside of, preaching and staying with your family and doing all those things, staying in the religion and really trying to get people to come into the religion. So as a teenager, I was getting these major feelings of, whoa, I want to do more. I felt like maybe it was something in fitness or maybe it was something on stage. I had no idea, just these flashes of I want to be something more. And so when I was 18 and I moved out, I ended up moving out to Madison, Wisconsin, the place that I went as a teenager. And this was the first time that I really learned about your environment and how much it impacts you. And so I knew the reason that I was moving out is because my environment was impacting me so much. I would try to, work out and I would try to eat healthier, but because my family wasn't, I would find myself only maintaining these habits that I wanted to keep, these healthier habits and working out. It was really hard to even make it through a week because Friday would come and it'd be pizza night and we would have the 3 desserts after dinner and we'd just be eating all day long because food was joy and we just would sit around, watch movies, food, all the things. And so for me, I knew that if I could break out of that environment, that I felt like I could have the willpower to change. And that's really when I learned when I left that environment is stronger than your willpower. And if you have something that you want to do, but your environment is not going to allow you to do it, you can try to change all that you want personally, but until you make the changes mentally, physically for yourself, and environmentally, you'll never be able to break free of the environment. That's why so many people have to move. That's why so many people have to change their friends. That's why so many people go away to a college. That's why you have to break free of whatever that environment is telling you, because you will become your environment. So I had that realization of, wow, you really become your environment, because the second I got out, I had more control. I had more control of what was in my house. What I was thinking, I didn't feel as negative, because the overall tone of life didn't feel as negative, and what people were saying. So in my 20s, I really worked hard on trying to figure out, because at first, when I first moved out, I just found more people who were not great, and lived with them for a while. And when my life started to reflect back, like, oh, you did this again, like you just found more people who are, not great for you, because they were drinking a lot, doing drugs, partying, all the things. I was like, okay, now I have to get out of this environment. And so in my mid-20s is when I really started to say, okay, I know what this is. I know what this means. How do I create a more positive environment for myself, so that I can start creating the life that I want?
There's just so many synergies all the time. And like, sometimes it's crazy, because you're like, you're preaching this religion, but I'm like, you're preaching to my soul by just you being yourself. And I feel like, just from conversations that Jordan and I have had this morning, it just resonates so beautifully. So taking the impact that your environment had on you and getting out of it and moving forward and moving your needle forward, what do you think was the catalyst to be like, yeah, this just isn't it?
So what was the catalyst of like changing the environment?
The final, like that final straw, it's like, yeah, I've got to go now.
Nothing happens right away. Like, I wish that we could tell people like there's one thing, but I think that when you're breaking a pattern, it takes a lot of these little moments and these little decisions to break out of a pattern. And, if you kind of look back at like some big things that you've changed, it happens over a year to 3 years. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm not that person anymore. And so for me, I think it started with even, when I was dating and when I first got married to my husband, it was like first having the realization of finding someone who had the same level of dreams and interests. So I had this big epiphany that I wanted to be a healthy person. So I really only wanted to like kind of hang out with people who had that in common. Like, they liked to work out. They wanted to be healthier, because the core things of who you are really tough to negotiate with someone who's going to be in your life long term. So best friends, partners, things like that. And so I think one of the first decisions that I didn't actually maybe even realize at the time was that I started dating and chose a partner who had main core values the same. And that was, he was really into health and fitness. He loved his family. Like, despite anything he said about my family, they're amazing, just totally different right. values and beliefs. And also a big dreamer. And those were some huge things that aligned with me. And so I think one of the main things that really helped change that decision of like, I don't want to go back to it, is who am I spending my time around the most, and what are those people's beliefs? And that was the thing that really kind of crossed me over into, okay, I'm going more this direction now than going back to the old version of me.
Was there a period of time where you grieved those that you had to leave behind?
Yeah, I not only grieved them, I think I grieved like that way of life, because what happens when you're, and when I say that way of life, I'm kind of referring to what happened after I moved out. I really like drank and partied for a while. And I think that to experience like that much fun that maybe wasn't fun after not having fun as a teenager, being able to do things, that it was like dopamine overload, like being able to do whatever you want, like, not answer to people, go to the extreme other side. I definitely throughout my life have been such an extremist. It's like, okay, if I'm one way, I'm going to try to go to the complete opposite way. If I'm going to like, go try to be fit, it's going to be so extreme that's not maintainable. And so for me, I really, really struggled in the beginning with taking like associating a new version of joy with a healthier way of being and without these massive spikes up and down. Because even with the people that I was dating or around, it was like we were either all on or all off, or having a great time or like just falling apart. And so I think that I was grieving the way that my whole being was used to. It was used to these like insane spikes up and down of, let's just use dating for example. Like we were either madly in love or just completely fighting. Or it was, if I was trying to get healthy, I was either completely trying to, be super strict, or I was binging. And so you were addicted to these spikes. And so for me, I got really, really addicted to those like super high highs, low lows. Ooh. And so I actually had to like move through that and kind of grieve that feeling of, I don't know what's fun outside of partying. I don't know what a relationship is outside of like something that's so up and down. And so, yeah, that was one of the hardest things, is letting go of those addictions to like the spikes.
I've never considered that.
My mind is blown. And now I have all the questions of, what did it take for you to get to, like, what do you consider baseline?
I honestly think my husband taught me a lot about this. I think it took one person who was very different from anything that I was used to. And so he came in, he was interested in dating. I was only interested in being his friend, because I was still like on the breakup part of a relationship that I thought was going to come back, like the very ups and downs. And so I was like, I'm not interested, like, because number one, you're too like, he was just even keeled. It was too even keeled for me. And even though he was interesting, smart, business savvy, incredible, he was too even keeled for me. And so it was almost like I was bored in the beginning. And I think, and he knows, like, he knew all of this. I was just like, no, like, you're not my type. Here's what I'm interested in, all of these different things. But I had him in my life as a friend. And I think that the more that I got to know him and the more that he treated me the way that a true friend and person who cares about you treats you, because I had never experienced that. And that I had these realizations of, wow, like, this person is here through all of it. Like, he's not going to put up with my crazy crap, and he's not going to let me get too low. And it was just these moments of like, wow, I think this might be how you deal with things.
I'm like,
as,
is this healthy?
Like, a really
is this what that is?
Healthy person. And I had never seen it. I had never known it. And, like 6 months go by and I was like, wow, this is really, really incredible. Like, I didn't have these words for it, but on my nervous system, you observe the way that you feel around certain people. And I just felt really good. I felt really safe. And I don't think I realized that my whole life I had never felt safe ever, like in anything, like any, like, meaning, as a kid, I think the religion can make you feel really, really fearful. Like, I was always like, oh, Armageddon is going to come tomorrow. Am I going to die? Like, that's just how we always thought.
The rapture.
Totally. And then I think it was also financially with my parents. They had gone bankrupt and we had always struggled, and it was like paycheck to paycheck. So I didn't have any like borderline level to compare it to. And so at first you reject it. And I think that's a really big thing with people when you first go into transformation, is you reject it. It actually doesn't feel good, even if it is good, because it's not familiar. And so it's kind of like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, even if the devil you don't is a great thing. And so the beginning of my those first years of like real transformation were kind of just rejection of good things, because they weren't what I was used to.
It's like a mic drop. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry.
I just feel like this is exactly where we are at this point in our life, right? Like, we both come from very humble beginnings, and we have been so blessed to like create the spaces that we have, but we like, and we even say it frequently, like we are not today we are not the same person who we were 12 months ago.
Not at all.
Not even
And
close.
it's been a really difficult adjustment for us, like learning and growing together, but next to our partners as well, especially like and we both have spouses who are very even keeled. My husband's like signature line is, it's fine, like everything's fine. I'm like, we're in Monaco at the Formula One Grand Prix, and he's like, yeah, this is fine. And I'm like, fine, this is the best day of my life. Like, this is incredible. But
totally,
he's never used those words before. So as we've reached new summits in our career, as we've reached new wins, it's been really challenging because he's like, yeah, babe, that's great. And I'm like, not great. This isn't great. This is amazing. And then it causes this moment of like self-doubt and being like, do you not see it? Do you not see the vision? Are you not on this track with me? Or, you know, as you garner that initial bit of success, there's a lot of spin that comes with that. Like, I'm sure you can think back to the moments where you're pouring heavily into your business and you see the vision. Financially,
yes.
Yeah, you see the vision and you know, like, I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my bones, like we're on the right path and we're doing the right things and there's synchronicities. But having to go to your spouse and be like, hey, I know I spent a little last month, and then, you know, you're having those financial conversations and he's like, hey, I believe in you, but like, keep it chill. And I'm like, keep it chill. Like, then you don't believe in me. And it's really hard not to have that like all or nothing kind of feeling with the safety and security that you're talking about.
And when they question you, you automatically associating it with, you doubt me.
Yeah.
When they're just asking questions.
Totally. I had like this exact experience around when I first started doing fitness competitions. And for me, it wasn't a fitness competition. It was a way for me to break into the industry for what I ultimately wanted. So like for my life career, like I wanted to be like a Jillian Michaels. I knew I wanted to be on covers. I knew I wanted to make money through that modality, but I had to kind of like become the expert. I had to break through things. I had to get myself out there. And I was probably 2 years into competing and I wasn't winning yet. So it was like, you know, some girls were already winning and doing all these things, but I felt it in my bones. I was like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, it was so clear to me. It wasn't clear to my husband. And one day, you know, because at this point we were struggling. Like, this was around 2008 when things were just starting to crumble, and he was in the financial industry, and 2008 was the crash of everything, right? And he ended up losing his job. We lost our house. We lost our cars. So it's around this time when we're getting the feel that things are not, like, it's not going well. And, you know, competing it was an expensive sport at the time for us, you know, traveling, the food, the costumes, just the commitment that it is for both people in the marriage. Because it does affect both people. You know, you're eating different. You're not doing the same things that you would normally do in your day-to-day life because you're very committed to this goal. And Chris had said to me, he probably had a stressful day or whatever and came home and he was like, you know, I think you need to quit this little thing that you're doing because it's a waste of money. And he just kind of told me, like, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's not going anywhere. You're not winning. Like, And that really, really crushed me. Like, the first thing that came up for me was just pure anger at him. And this is a point in partnerships, married, not married, business partnerships, whatever, where you can either destroy the partnership and you can start to be like, he doesn't support me, he doesn't get me, or they don't get me, they don't support me, they don't see it. Or you can understand that it's your vision, not theirs. Like, they don't get to see that thing that God planted in you. Yeah. You have to just trust that this is now, it's now become even more of a journey that you're meant to carry out because you have to show them now. So before you could kind of tell them, you could whatever, and now you have to literally just continue on and show them. And so, you know, after probably throwing a tantrum, I'm sure I had some select words for him at the time. That was the decision that I stepped into was, okay, he doesn't get it. He doesn't actually feel what I feel and know that I'm going to complete this at some point. And of course I had my doubts as well. Like, we can say I feel it in my bones, but I couldn't honestly tell you if I was going to win. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to and I'm going to, and this vision that I've been given, like that's what's happening. But you just, even win or fail, like you have to continue on with that path because there's literally no other choice anyway. What are you going to stop and go back to what you were doing? Then you're going to crumble any semblance of any relationships in your life either way because you're going to hate yourself for quitting on yourself and quitting on your dream. So it's like there's no other option but to go down that path and just to kind of like let it be okay that they aren't on it. There's a difference when they're not really supportive at all and when they're just kind of like, I don't see it, but okay. And so I think that's when the conversations come in of like, I know you can't see it right now, but here's what I need like for the next year or whatever. And just trust me. And then we'll reassess after a year. And so I think that people who follow their dreams, and I know you guys know this right now because I'm sure you're in it with your partners, with each other, like so many honest conversations that you have to process with each other and just like you're figuring it out because like we didn't have these operating tools before this.
Right.
And we probably haven't seen them from our parents or people around us because you're breaking out of what you're in.
That's so true. So you're in the fitness space. How did you start developing other verticals, and at what points did you garner influence?
Okay, so this is a great question. So I was in the fitness space and I was doing something that I didn't even realize at the time. This is when, so MySpace had launched and then like Facebook had come about and people were like, Facebook, I don't want to go on Facebook. Ew, what is that? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on both like
Let's
early.
try it out.
Yeah, I'm just going to try it. And I was going on every day and I was just like writing a little paragraph about my journey. That's it. I had no idea that this is actually like what you're supposed to do. It was more like a way for me to process with something because I had nobody and I really didn't have any friends because I had kind of started leaving those friends behind because they were partiers and they thought I was boring. They were like, you really think you're going to do that? You're going to be on a cover of a magazine? Okay. Like you guys, I lived in Wisconsin. They're like, okay, yeah, go drink your beer and eat your cheese curds. Like, we know that, Lori, you beer bong upside down. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, that's the version that they have stuck in their head, you know? And you're like, how do you break free of that pattern? So, sorry, I just lost the train of thought. Tell me, get me back on and we'll edit that part.
When did you realize that you were...
Yes, Facebook. Yep. Okay. So every single day, like as I was learning different things or reading books, I was documenting the journey. So I had no idea I was doing this. So I would read books. I would, what else was I learning from? Oh, I started going to some like in-person live events, like self-development events that nobody really, like I had to ask somebody about what they were or if they had set events that you could go to help get over anxiety or like grow yourself mentally or break out of different patterns because I didn't know if they even existed. And someone that Chris worked with was like, yeah, I think I know of one and it's called Landmark Forum. You should go to it. So I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's kind of like an old school personal development event that is still around to this day. And I ended up going to the personal development events. And so what I was doing is every day I'd go on Facebook and I would kind of say like either what I had learned and how it was affecting my life or, hey, you know, I'm having a rough day today. I deal with anxiety. Here's some things that I'm doing. You know, maybe I'd tell a story around it. And it would be about a good solid paragraph to like 2 paragraphs. And every single day I just went on. It was my morning, like with my coffee, I'd like read and then I'd write a little paragraph, like an inspirational paragraph. Well, I started growing this audience around like fitness and mindset. And one of the ways, you know, I'd started training at a gym and also had started an online membership. And so fitness was still like the main gig. But what was happening is I was realizing that the women who were coming to me for fitness had 2 other major problems that I could not solve. Like I thought that I could help them by giving them a workout. Like I thought that I could really transform them and change their life by giving them workouts. And while that did help, the workouts couldn't change them if they didn't change their mindset and if they didn't change their food. And so I had 2 other problems. So I could either outsource those to other people or I could find someone who could help me with the food portion because I wasn't about to go and get all my degrees in the food stuff. I had taken some certifications and I had started selling meal guides that a registered dietitian had created with me. But I noticed that still didn't work because these are really complex, like, food plans that these women in the Midwest are, like, not used to even seeing or eating, or, you know.
Like flaxseed? What's flaxseed?
Oh my God, a million %. They were just like, this is too challenging. So one of the ways that I started to solve the food issue was I had gotten introduced to a network marketing company that was just shakes and bars. And I was like, okay, can you just replace 1 to 2 meals a day with these shakes or bars? Like, and can you just take these vitamins? Maybe. Like, vitamins will work up too, but let's just start here. And I noticed that the combination of now having the workouts with the food, now we took away a big stress for them as well. And now we were solving some issues for a busy mom as well. And the shakes and bars happened to also taste really, really great at the time. And the only other thing that I had to solve was mindset. And so I had started doing mindset stuff just in my online program, but I quickly started to really gravitate towards mindset and realize that's where my true passion was. And however much I loved fitness, and still to this day believe that it's such an important foundation for you for just like everything, you know, energy, confidence. It teaches you so much about, you know, needing resistance in your life in order to grow. I just knew that if we could not change the mindset in their environment and who they were around and how they felt about money, these women were having to stop training halfway through, you know, a transformation because they couldn't afford it anymore, or their husbands thought it was a waste of money, or they didn't feel like they were changing. And there was just a lot to unpack there. But what it did is it opened up all of those other verticals for me to kind of dabble in. And I really started getting interested in personal development because I had told you I was going to all these events. Well, I started going to more and more events and was having such massive transformations in my own life in such a short period of time from in-person events that I knew that that's what I wanted to do, because it was a much bigger impact than me one-on-one with maximum 8 to 10 people a day in a room or online where I couldn't even really get to know them. And so I did, you know, I still kept the other things going monetarily while I started building more of the personal development version of what you see now.
I love that you just said, without even saying it, the question started with influence for us of how'd you garner this influence? And then you just ended your response just on the word impact. You knew that the impact was greater. So it's one thing to have this influence, but I think what you do with it, you have to realize what a responsibility it is to have such a great influence. You're influencing how they're spending their money. You're influencing the way they think. You're influencing how they, you hate to say it like this, but how they feel about themselves. You're influencing what they eat, like all of these different things. Did you think that having that influence when you started to like, okay, these paragraphs every morning, like they're listening, like I've got this influence. At what moment did you think, oh, this is impactful, like I'm creating an impact?
I don't think I actually realized it until I had my first in-person event. And I think, number one, seeing them all. Actually, I think it was my second in-person event that I really understood what influence was and impact. And I had started doing Facebook Lives because it's hard to fill events. I don't want that to be someone's mantra, but it's a thing.
No,
like,
been there, done that, bought the t-shirt.
God, it is, you know. So I would go on Facebook Lives every single day for a year. And when I did this, I did it for multiple reasons. I wanted to fill the event. So I wanted to be talking about it. I wanted people to know about it. I needed to get out there more to sell more tickets. But I also was finding, this is when I'm like, was Instagram coming around at all? It was more when they started really doing polished social media, meaning people were more like the who's who were starting to hire media teams. And so it was costing a lot more. It was hair and makeup. It was like all these things to just put yourself online. So it went through this like trending moment in the world where it was like polished was way better than just showing up casual. Well, I was not a polished person, and that was like not going to change in my personality anytime soon. I'm like more of a casual, want to meet you kind of where you're at. That's just how my brand was totally built. You know, in workout clothes, that's literally who I was always, every single day. And so I was really, really struggling showing up online. Like I had kind of like, you know, it had gone way down because the production value needed to go up. And I was like, this is not who I am. What do I need to do to like make sure that I'm talking to my people all the time and getting out there still and forcing myself to get out there because I have this message and I want to grow this brand. And so I decided that I was going to wait forever if I was waiting to like be ready and dolled up and go online every single day. So I was like, I'm going to go on every morning in my bathrobe while I'm having coffee, and I'm going to force myself to talk for 15 minutes, and I'm not allowed to get off until I hit the 15-minute mark every single day, because I was uncomfortable on like video. You know what I mean? I had built my brand writing and like photos and things like that. And so this video era was like next level for me. And so I'd go on every single day with a bathrobe, and I'm a bathrobe girl, so I have like 3 different bathrobes. And when I really realized my impact was when I had that, I think it was the second event, and I showed up, and there was like a night before event, and all these girls showed up in bathrobes.
What?
Like it was like 300 women, and a ton of them were all in bathrobes, like with their hair in a top bun, like over their outfits. And I looked out at the audience, and I just like cried. I was like, oh my God, they're all watching. They're all watching. Like they're actually listening. Like they're like spending coffee time with me, and like we're bonded. And that was the moment of like, what we all get to do really matters. Like they listen to you in their most intimate moments. You know, they listen to you. Maybe they're getting ready in the bathroom. Maybe it's on their drive. Maybe it's on their walk. And like, it was the same feeling of when I would, you know, when you start listening to podcasts or books on, I almost said tape, that really throws me back, audiobooks, like those people are kind of like your borrowed friends while you make these new ones in this new environment. And that is what really hit me, is I'm like, oh my God, I'm like some of these people's only friend right now, just like how Lewis Howes was my only friend for a while, you know, while I found like transitioned into this new like life and who I wanted to surround myself with.
There are 3 things I want to really point out in what you just said. One was you said we get to, and that is something that I never want to take for granted. And I think when you do have even an ounce of influence, I mean, you have an ounce, I mean, if you've got kids, you've got influence. If you've got a dog, you've got influence. But
Totally.
when you have influence, reminding yourself that it is truly a privilege to have influence. And then 2, which may seem minute, but you said it was your second event. Like, I don't want to gloss over the fact that like it was when you hit your second event. The first one, like, that's good, but when you decided through all the hardship, all the hard stuff, excuse my language, all the hard stuff, like going through all of that you still went on and proceeded to the second, and that's when it clicked. And then 3rd, about friendship here, I think that is one of the hardest things that I don't think people see as an entrepreneur. When you are evolving and you are grieving the prior version of yourself, you're grieving old environments, old relationships, friendships, how lonely and how isolating
Totally.
that can be. And the people that you consider your friends are people you may have never even physically been in touch with.
Absolutely.
And that is next level. So with that, I guess my next question would really lean into the fact that when you do have those moments, as you've been growing this influence and creating the legacy that you're creating for yourself and your family and all of that, when you have those moments of feeling isolated or lonely, because I'm sure they still hit, and building your community with authenticity, how do you move forward with that, with leading the charge the way that you do, but still experiencing the isolation, the feelings of loneliness in entrepreneurship?
You know, if I can help anyone get past them faster, you really have to take accountability for the loneliness. Like, you have to know that you have control over it. And that's the hardest part, is we're all like, yeah, but I don't know anyone. Yeah, but my community's small. Yeah, but I'm in a small town. Yeah, but I just moved to LA and everyone's flaky. Like, there will be an excuse for everything why you could stay lonely. And I think one of the ways to relieve yourself of that is understand, like, the people that you're meeting along the journey aren't going to look perfect to you at first because you don't even know what relationship you're looking for. You're comparing it to like friendships you see online. You have no idea what those are like or what they're about, and they're not perfect. And so one of the things that really helped me not be lonely anymore is understand that I was kind of like, I had like this best friend checklist that was not even real. It was like, okay, she has to be, you know, healthy and fit and want to do classes with me, but also have to like to drink wine once in a while. And she has to be adventurous, but also wants to do business and wants to mastermind. And like, you know, I would love someone to also be stylish. So maybe we could shop, but not too much because that annoys me. Can't be dramatic. Like all of these things that is asking like, I'm not perfect. It was things I was asking that were like even far outside of what I was capable of doing as a friend. And I have a friend named Lindsay Sikornik, and she actually would come to speak at the events that I had called the Bliss Project. And her and I did like a mastermind where we would meet online every other week for, I think we did this for 5 or 6 years. And I did not know her when we started this. She was a recommendation of the other friend that we were meeting, 3 of us, every 2 weeks. And we wanted to meet in these groups to not be lonely anymore and to like grow ourselves. Like we were looking for like-minded people. So first thing is I was open to someone I didn't even know being in this group and committing to them every other week, essentially for what we thought might be the rest of our life, or we wanted it to be years. We just knew we wanted it to be years. And so, you know, when we would first talk, like she's one of those just very insightful people. Like she's a yogi, like just loves to hang out in that crowd. That's not my favorite thing, but I sure love gleaning the insights from it. And so she had said something to me that just like blew my mind wide open. And she said, you know, a lot of times we're looking for like this perfect friend group, or like we're really looking for those entrepreneur friends, or that you know we have in our head this vision. She said, but you have to collect people because you know, not one person can be everything for you. So you have to find each piece in different people. And so for me, I was like, oh, okay, so my adventure friend can be different than my entrepreneur friend, is different from my go out for cocktails sometimes friend, is different from my, you know, if I want to go shop or do a spa day type of friend. And this unlocked everything for me because it helped me let go of the things I didn't love about someone and only see like the really good things. And it helped me like find the really great things in people that maybe I would have passed over. And I think this happens all the time in rooms now with entrepreneurs is, you know, the first thing we do, because I've done so many events now and I get to watch from stage as well. The women who are dressed the same find the other women who are dressed the same and who look like them, who look familiar, who feel familiar. Now, that's awesome. You're probably going to find some things right away in common, but they probably don't hold the real answer that you really need from that particular room or from that particular moment. And so I feel like God places like these little, you know, treasures in people that we wouldn't normally be interested in. And so I think the unlock to life is like really being interested in people. And to go back to the initial question of like, how do you overcome the lonely? Like it is a full-time job to be interested in people and to work on relationships. But to me, there is no other strategy. Like I'm not super book smart. I can be and learn how to be very people smart. And I think relationships are the ultimate unlock to everything, because what you can't do, you can meet someone who can do it for you.
You just keep dropping the mic. And this conversation has just been so affirming in so many ways. Mm-hmm. So if no one has given you your flowers today yet, Lori, here they are. They are just take them. Just take them. Because I want you to know that your influence truly makes an impact. And I'm sure you saw it in the bathrobes, but even in the mundane of being able to share pieces of information. And your book, A Tribe Called Bliss, shaped the way that we interact with people. Like something I say all the time, and you said it, you're like, in being interested in people. As we lead a team on the real estate side and different things, we're always like, everyone's like, what's your biggest piece of advice? Be interested, not interesting. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest piece of advice that we give all the time. And creating authentic communication and authentic connections and genuine connections, because I hate small talk with everything in my soul. Mm-hmm. I don't care about the weather. I don't care. Like, love sports. I don't care about how the Broncos are doing right now. Like, actually, what I care about is the fact that, today kind of sucks, and I'm having a hard time showing up for myself today, and being vulnerable while still being quote unquote professional in those moments. So, your flowers are just so owed. So thank you for the paragraphs that turned into A Tribe Called Bliss and now Earn Your Happy. So.
If only I could go back and tell her, keep up the paragraphs.
Save those. Dang.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that.
So you've garnered this influence, you've created a huge impact, and now you're building a legacy. What does that legacy look like? What's next? And what is the legacy that you do want to leave behind?
Believe it or not, like, this is a really hard question for me, because I think someone who comes from like a small town and like, you kind of, deeply rooted in my belief system was that I would never see 20 years old, because I just thought that was Armageddon and I was going to go live somewhere else. So, like, I talk about this with my husband a lot, is that I actually struggle seeing like a big future vision. I literally could always see it up until like my 30s. I'm really honestly struggling in my 40s with like, what is the legacy that I want to leave behind? Because we have some really big questions in our life right now, like kids, no kids, we're trying, but we also are like, we don't want to work so hard for it that it's like we lose ourselves completely. So I think the legacy, this is like a big life question for me right now, is the legacy I want to leave behind is literally, it's going to sound so basic, but right now it's like helping me focus, is just like the small interactions with people. Like, I just want to make people feel like things are possible when I meet them, and that it gets them closer to God or their message. Like, I don't honestly think it's bigger than that, because money comes and goes. Boy, have I learned that like multiple times in life. And sometimes the bigger your business, the more you're investing and the more broke you feel. So like, legacy is like so momentary as well. You don't even know who you're impacting. I hope that I can do it with like family, children. I think the legacy I would want to leave is like, be interested in people, because like, we are just a little blip on this radar. So I think you also have to enjoy it. So enjoy your life and just leave people better than when you found them, and that makes it actually feel a lot more doable than like something huge to me.
But that is the legacy too. What is it they say? Like, people aren't going to remember all of these other things, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a hard dance for entrepreneurs though, because it's like, you want to be the greatest version of yourself, and then sometimes you get really exhausted and you're like, do I really want to be great, or do I just want to enjoy my life?
But, that's a conversation that I recently had with my spouse. He was like, you have done things that you never anticipated.
Totally.
Like, you're in Monaco, you're at the Super Bowl, you're like with celebrities and athletes, and getting contacted about the Cannes Film Festival and Paris Fashion Week. Like, at what point is enough? Like, at what point will you be like, I made it and I'm satisfied and now I'm going to kick it on a beach? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, as an entrepreneur, like, how do you determine, like, this is it and this is all I'm ever going to do? Or do you have that, like, drive and ambition and, like, hunger forever?
It depends who you're talking to, but my husband and I go back and forth all the time, and I have so many voice notes to my girlfriends on the same thing literally right now. And I think that it's just phases of life, but if you're a builder, you're a builder. Like, I can't actually imagine... I want breaks, definitely. Like, I can feel that. I'm like, oh, I just feel like I really need a break, or maybe you need a year to kind of like look at what direction you want to go next. So you're just kind of like holding down the fort for a while, not working to grow. That's another struggle for people, is sometimes like the next level takes a little space and like just a little bit of chill time. Yeah. But I think when you're a builder, you just always want to build things. So I think we'll be 80 years old and we'll probably be helping in our nursing home head up something or lead something or create a community group of something.
That tracks.
and I think that's the purpose. Like, we're put on the planet for different reasons, and entrepreneurs, I think, are creators and builders, and I don't think that ever goes away.
Well, in contribution to what you're creating and what you're building, a question we ask every single person that comes, our podcast, on a Zoom call or meeting, we always ask, what can we do? What can our community do to help you move your needle forward in life, whether it be in business, personal, whether it's trying to find a good tailor nearby, a good sushi spot, or if it's something bigger than that. Like,
I mean, I'll take any sushi spot when I come visit.
Gotcha.
But this is such a great question too. Thank you for asking it. Right now my focus is it's all Glossy, which is
Glossy.
the bottle that you're holding. And for so many different reasons, like it represents more than I thought was possible, not only for myself, but also as women, because I raised money for it. And it's a CPG product, which is a skin and gut daily beauty supplement. And I think for me, when I set out on this journey, coming from more of the books, personal development, digital, very much online digital space, like I can say that I feel pretty solid in that arena. Right. I did not feel solid in the consumer packaged goods arena, like an actual physical product. And I took it on because number one, it felt really amazing and challenging. Number two, it was solving a massive problem that I wanted to solve for myself, which was to have a better and easier beauty and wellness routine, not swallowing all the pills, not doing a 7-step skincare routine. Like that's so overwhelming when we're trying to build things. I just wanted to know if I just did this one thing a day, like that would still be enough. Like you'd be doing something really good for yourself. So creating it alone felt like a really amazing feat. So the thing that I'm working on right now is just getting it out to the world. Like it's such an incredible product. We have such awesome before and afters. People just feel way better. Their digestion is better. So many people say their gut health is so much better. They notice immediately in the first week. More clear, glowing skin, which I can pretty much say that's what we all want. So getting it out to the world, truly, that's just right now my goal is like aligned partnerships, more customers trying it, all the things.
Where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about Glossy, and purchase it?
So Glossy is at getglossy.com, getgloci.com. And then I'm just Lori Harder all over. But we can give your people a discount. So we can do code HAPPY for 25% off.
There you guys go. We'll make sure it's all in the comments and all of the things so that everyone can get it and be in their Glossy era with us. And Lori, we are so grateful for your time. I'm so grateful for your time today.
This was so much fun, you guys. I love the dynamic of the two together especially. So I'm so excited to watch your podcast take off.
Well, and your words to us today meant more to us than you will ever know in this exact moment. And it's funny because we joke a lot about like needing a therapist for high performing women. So to, seriously, be able to have like a true like mastermind and mentor moment with you today is such a blessing that like we will forever be grateful for.
Oh, well, I could sit here all day. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, y'all.